Newspaper reviewer Bayo Atebe is with us in the studios. Bayo, good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much, Kinsley. Good morning.
Right.
Good morning, Nadawo.
You're welcome, Bayo.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Today on the Daily Trust, let's get started with that. Right under the masthead, we have three stories, and these include British government worried over insecurity in Nigeria. Details of that on page 12. Then you have a gunman attack, Sholudo, kill free security aides, page 6. Federal government recovers 49.7 billion naira of 5.2 trillion naira debt. Details on page 9. At the bottom of the page, we have arrests made in Niger Republic, attempted coup on page 36. And of course, you have NSCIA tackles Khan over appeal court justices shortlisting, page 36 too. And on page 27, after collecting 5 million naira ransom, kidnappers of cleric, 11 others dump 4 corpses. And on page 26, assault, police probe CCT bows as lowest plan suit. The big story and the main story on the Daily Trust today is military yet to submit estimates for arms, says federal government. And writers, defense officials keep. They are being careful, says the expert. And then 396 billion naira supplementary budget for COVID-19 ready. And still we have government holds proposed healthcare centers in states. You get details of all this on page 5. And the main picture there is about COVID-19 palliatives to be airlifted by Nigerian Air Force to some ECOWAS member countries during the commencement of the second wave of COVID-19 distribution of palliatives in Abuja. That one took place yesterday. Kinsley?
Right. We also take a look at the Nation newspaper. Above the name flag, gunmen attack Soludo, abduct commissioner, 3 policemen killed. That's in respect of the lead up to the governorship election in Anambra State later this year, and sometime in November. Bandits kill 8, injure 4 in Kaduna attacks. Ebonyi herdsmen attack, death toll rises to 26. Nigeria and UAE teamwork exposed Boko Haram financing. Those stories are on page 29 inside the paper. And below the nameplate, you have the headline, U.S. report, that's the kicker, no evidence of massacre at Lekki toll gate. And the photograph there shows the COVID-19 palliatives being loaded into an Air Force plane in Abuja for airlifting to some ECOWAS member countries. And that was on Tuesday in Abuja. Boni-led caretaker tenure, APC chairman under pressure. Plot thickens to extend party's membership registration and shift of convention. Nasarawa governor backs power shifts to south. And right at the foot of the front page, 4 policemen killed, 4 missing in clash. That's page 5. And government parleys doctors to avert strike. Page 4. Bayo.
Thank you, Kinsley. Let's start with a story from Anambra State, where in the Afuzo area of Usofia in Agwata local government area, a gunman disrupted interactive session between Mr. Charles Soludo, Professor Charles Soludo, and some youths. 3 policemen who are supposed to be details attached to the former Central Bank governor are feared to have been killed. The former governor of Central Bank has indicated interest to contest the November 6th Anambra State governorship election. Also in Ebonyi State, Governor Dave Umahi has ordered a dusk-to-dawn curfew in Effium community in Ohaku local government area of the state. This as a result of clandestine killing and destruction of property in the area. It may be recalled that the governor declared a shoot on site when conflict between Ezza and the Effium community led to silent killing and destruction of property. 2 soldiers were killed in that area. The Commissioner for Information, Uchenna Oji, says that the State Executive Council, after its meeting, now has approved 600 soldiers to be drafted to the area to restore peace. There are suspicions and indications that natives from that area, especially in the State Executive Council, are the ones who are subterraneously influencing the crisis and not allowing it to end. Across the border there into Anambra State, in Enugu State, 6 persons were killed in Adani, in Uzo-Owani local government area. The Commissioner of Police, Mohammed Aliu, has visited the area, and he says the police will go after the hoodlums who caused it. But meanwhile, he has pleaded with them to call on for peace to reign. In Kaduna, the Commissioner for Internal Security, Samuel Aruan, has confirmed that bandits opened fire on a vehicle in Ungwanyaru. The vehicle unfortunately somersaulted, killing 6 persons, and 4 others in it were also injured. Similarly, bandits killed 1 person at Hanyi Kainga in Giwa local government area. The United States Department has provided a report, and he says that reports by local and international bodies concerning the shootings of protesters at Lekki on October 20th are claims that could not be verified. This is a report that was produced by the United States Department of State covering for the year 2020. The report released on March 30th says accurate information on fatalities from shooting was not available. They also say that Amnesty International had reported 10 killed, while the Lagos State government had reported that 2 persons were killed not connected with the demonstration at Lekki. Meanwhile, the report has also indicated arbitrary and unlawful killing related to conflicts in the Northeast, the abduction in Northwest, Niger Delta, the Southeast, and also concern involving maritime kidnapping by militants who have now turned pirates. The report says the Nigerian prison is concerned is designed for 50,553, but is currently housing 64,817. 74% of the inmates are persons who are said to be awaiting trial. In the United Kingdom, the Office of Communication, Ofcom, the equivalent of our National Broadcasting Commission and the Nigeria Communication Commission put together, has fined a satellite outfit for a sum of £125,000, equivalent of 65.6 million naira. The channel Lovebird was fined for breaching the broadcast code in the United Kingdom for disseminating information on COVID-19. One of the reports for which it was signed has said that it breached the code on 1st of December 2020 when it claimed that COVID-19 outbreak was planned and that it is a sinister vaccine that can be used to implant nanochips that can control and cause harm to the public. Another spurious claim by the outfit says that there was a theory that COVID-19 virus was somehow caused by 5G. The Ofcom says that the inaccurate and potentially harmful claim made by the program were unsupported by any factual evidence. The Punch also has observed that the head of the Lovebird in Nigeria, a tele-evangelist, has told his members not to ignore COVID-19 protocols and also not to take COVID-19 vaccine. The instructive thing here for us, like you will recall that of recent, the National Broadcasting Commission has sanctioned some stations for breaches, and some lawyers, human rights lawyers, had gone to court that the National Broadcasting Commission was becoming an accuser and a judge in his own case. This is a corollary to what is happening in the United Kingdom. The procedure is that stakeholders, including broadcasters, meet to agree about precepts for regulating broadcasting. So they set the parameters and set the rules and set the fines. When you breach, the fine applies automatically. So although lawyers, of course, will always argue, they can even go to court and argue that a man is a woman. But be that as it may, the precepts of broadcasting is that when you are aware of the precepts, the rules, it means that for long, you already are aware of what can be described as self-regulation, and you are bound to comply with it.
Well, there's no question about it, Bayo. What you just mentioned with regard to Ofcom, which regulates broadcasting in the United Kingdom.
Broadcasting and telecom.
Yeah, it's broadcasting. I'm
yes.
speaking about broadcasting in particular. It relates to law enforcement. Law enforcement, a topic also we have taken on Good Morning Nigeria. You break the rules, you face the sanctions.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. You break the rules, you face the sanctions. That nobody in the UK is raising today fundamental rights of free speech, because there are responsibilities. And there are boundaries to free speech. There are boundaries in our Chapter 4 of the Constitution. There are also boundaries. The Constitution itself also provides for derogation from those fundamental rights. That's to say there are laws that we can make to say, look, in spite of this provision in the Constitution, that. And in the instance where hundreds of thousands of persons have died around the world now, you have 2.8 million persons who have died. In the UK, hundreds of thousands of persons have died from coronavirus. The government is battling with the virus and seeking to safeguard public health. And then you have this, what in the view of Ofcom, an irresponsible broadcast, claiming all kinds of things with regard to the virus and seeking to dissuade people from getting vaccinated. And of course, you have this penalty being slammed on that particular outfit. It's the way to go. There's no, there aren't two ways about it.
The bottom line is just like how someone would say, Abidoka Azona Lifea. Which means follow the rule. Follow the rule and stay in peace. Absolutely. All right. So once you don't do that, then whatever that happens, I mean, that's a cup of tea, and that's the bane in this country to a large extent. Not following the rules and then trying to cut corners and trying to make things work, which doesn't really take us anywhere. Yeah,
not following the rules and then not getting sanctioned for the rules. There is a story. There is a story that we have read, and I read it from the Nation. You also read it from the Daily Trust.
Daily Trust, right?
About Soludo being attacked in Anambra. The report says 3 policemen have been shot dead. 3 policemen. There is no jurisdiction where you take down a law enforcement officer and you go scot-free. The law enforcement agencies would deploy their full arsenal
and track you
in search of the assailants, apprehend them, and then bring them to justice.
Especially when it affects them directly.
As in this case.
Yeah, in this case.
I mean, 3 policemen, you know what it takes to train a police officer? And you know what role one police officer can perform? If you just have one police officer patrolling half of Area 11, where our headquarters studios are located, you know the kind of deterrence that it will serve. It is not as if, it was a line of politics. There is no justification for that. 3 policemen have been shot dead, and we expect the police authorities to be on top of this, be on the heels of those assailants. Of course, if they had their weapons, I would imagine that that's illegal possession of firearms in the first instance. And then plus, the assault and other kinds of charges that you can then frame against them, whether it's manslaughter, but obviously murder with one of those charges.
My worry is that the 3 policemen that were unfortunately killed are said to be among the details in the convoy of the Professor Charles Soludo.
Yeah.
How many policemen are attached to him alone? We are in a nation that is seriously under-policed.
Well, that's another point. It could very well be. It could very well be that it's on account. Bio. Don't forget, Anambra has witnessed a series of attacks on police stations, and policemen have been killed in the course of their duty. Police stations have been razed. You also had similar incidents in Abia. Nobody seemed to know what was going on. And politics, in a sense, or election in this country, is war. So what was the threat analysis that warranted Soludo requesting for those police details? That may very well explain that. But I get the point that you are making, that, look, policing for private duties is not something that should be encouraged.
And we don't even have enough of them anyway.
For duties.
Even Governor Willie Obiano has expressed serious concern, and he says he's going to address the challenges of recent, not only policemen, soldiers, custom officers have been killed in Anambra State.
That's right. So it's quite serious. But just one point before we take the editorial. Another about the lead story you have from Daily Trust. If you take a look at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, Daily Trust said, I'm just wondering about how the headline is cast by you. It says, if we can get that immediately on air.
Which one is
Daily
that?
Trust?
Daily Trust.
It says, military yet to submit estimates for arms. That's according to the federal government.
The federal government, yes.
Is the military separate and distinct from the federal government?
Well, you see, they had...
No, I mean, that's a rhetorical question.
They are not, but there are procedures. What happens is this.
No, I just wait. It said, according to the federal government, matters of military and therefore defense are matters on the exclusive list, being the preserve of the federal government.
I get your point. I think the kernel...
No, but you get the point.
I get your point. But the kernel of the report
really
is that there have been requests indicated to the National Assembly for supplementary budgeting for arms and vaccines. And these are supposed to come from the agencies that require this, provide them for the ministry that were supposed to align them and send them to the National Assembly. This is why they took that.
And even the riders here are saying the defense officials are mum about that. That's one, they are quiet. And then two, they are being careful, this part say. Careful, maybe looking back at what happened with defense budget and
nobody
whatever.
talks in the public about armed armament anywhere in the world. Anything relating to armaments is never in the public. No nation jeopardizes its security by giving details of that, but it will be provided for the appropriate authority.
Anyway,
the other interesting story before we go is the discovery of the source of the illness in Kano. The National Agency for Drug and Food Administration, DG, has identified that 5 substances were found to be poisonous. Okay. And the poison contained citric acid that has been responsible for the deaths that have been identified. She also identified that some of those products were from registered entities and other illegal and unregistered entities. But NAFDAC is working on that now.
Okay. Still boiling down to not following the rules and not really taking the steps.
That's right.
How would that be registered and then people are taking them? Yes. Nonetheless, anyway, let's look at the editorial. What's up there?
Editorial is from the Punch newspaper. It's at page 13. That's what I'm seeing there. It says, JAMB should shelve NIN. That's the national identification number for UTME. JAMB should shelve NIN for UTME. Bio.
Well, you will recall that even last year, JAMB had intended to use that national identity as a means for registering. But they rationalized that it was not ideal because the challenges the potential candidates will face to get registered. This year now, JAMB has announced that it is mandatory to have NIN. And we are all aware of the national challenge that has become for persons to register with NIN. As we talk, they had extended the deadline, and the National Assembly has even intervened to extend it up to April because there are still many people yet not captured, and there are not enough NIN offices around. And therefore, if you make it mandatory for students who are in school now, who will be going on Easter break, to have NIN before they can write UTME for now, you are certainly going to end up depriving some candidates of opportunity to write the exams. That is the focus.
Oh, well, many thanks, Bayo. Thank you so much for being part of this package this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. We'll now take a break. We'll be back with more on this program in a while. Stay with us.
As Oni of Ife, as someone who cares about the well-being and safety of our people, it's time for each and every one of us to realize that COVID-19 is real and it has killed millions of people around the world. Scientists have developed this vaccine. The vaccine is safe for everyone and it contains no microchip, nor can it alter our DNA. However, we must continue to stay safe and stay clean, wear face masks, clean our hands on a regular basis, and try as much as possible to avoid a very large crowd and gathering. For those who choose to be vaccinated, it will go a long way in protecting yourself and your loved ones from COVID-19.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and this morning we'll be talking about sports. So soft a topic indeed, and of course very interesting. We shall really take a backgrounder to this very, topic this morning, and really we have it on. Let's get the backgrounder first.
Sports, as seen over the years, have been major motivation for the players and creating the unifying factor among Nigerians. It is in recognition of this that the country in 1973 staged the National Sports Festival at the National Stadium in Surulere, Lagos State. Originally conceived as a unifying tool, the Sports Festival was also courted to promote peace and cross-cultural affiliation in Nigeria after the Civil War in 1970. Over time, however, it has also served as a development and training center to aid athletes prepare for continental and international meets. After being hit with a series of postponements in the past months, the 20th edition of the National Sports Festival will kick off this Friday in Benin, the Edo State capital. It would be recalled that the Sports Festival, which was originally meant to take place between March and April 2020, had to be postponed indefinitely as a result of the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. Following the lifting of restrictions on contact sports in October 2020, the National Sports Council and the local organizing committee fixed December 3rd to 18th, 2020 for the commencement of the event, subject to approval by the Presidential Task Force PTF on COVID-19. The PTF, however, held back on its approval. The country's Extraordinary National Council on Sports subsequently scheduled to hold the event on the 14th to 24th of February 2021. This date also had to be rescheduled to April as a result of the second wave of COVID-19. Tagged Edo 2020, though happening in 2021 and widely seen as Nigeria's Olympics, experts say the festival is a perfect platform to boost the local economy, provide immense public relations benefits, and generate return on the investments made by the host government. But then, certain hurdles to the success of the Games are yet to cross, which include good sporting facilities and athletes' welfare by the different federations in some instances, as well as other concerns. How modern and effective are the facilities meant for the Games? The host government had earlier indicated a paucity of funds for the Games. Has this been addressed? Also, the COVID-19 scare is still very much on. What are the measures in place to enable participants' observance of all safety protocols? These and other issues guests on the program will speak to shortly.
All right, thank you very much there for that backgrounder. We have guests with us in the studios, as well as from remote locations. From our Benin Network Center, we are being joined now by Dr. Emmanuel Igbinosa. Dr. Emmanuel Igbinosa is the Secretary of the Local Organizing Committee of the 2020 National Sports Festival taking place in Edo State. Dr. Igbinosa, delighted to have you with us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Okay, and also joining this conversation this morning is a very well-known face. He's joining us via Zoom, Chief Segun Odegbami. Chief Segun Odegbami, of course, is a former captain of the Green Eagles, as the Super Eagles were formerly called, sports enthusiast, sports writer, columnist, and host of Sports Parliament, also on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Chief Shegun Odegwami, delighted to have you again on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
All right, Nadabu.
Right, and in our Abuja studio here, we have Abdurrahman Ibn Muhammad, a sports analyst to my boss. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Nadabu. Good morning, my dear brother.
And we also have, Mr. Peter Nelson, a director in the Federal Ministry of Sports, Youth and Sports, that is, and the Secretary Organizing Committee of the Edo 2020. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, friends, and good morning, Nigerians.
Right.
All right, so let's, as it were, start the conversation with the hosts for the Sports Festival kicking off tomorrow. Dr. Igbinosa, how ready is Edo State to host athletes, officials, and administrators who are converging on the ancient city?
Thank you very much. As at the time the festival was postponed on the 17th of March 2020, Edo State was fully ready to host the nation. And everything was in place, but unfortunately, because of the coronavirus, the festival has to be postponed for about a year. Though it suffered a series of postponement, but now we are ready now to take all the athletes and officials. The venues are ready. The MOC has done their own part by inviting all the technical officials that need to officiate in the event. The hotels that we also house the various people that are coming from the MOC area, MOC have also been identified, and everything is actually ready. The vehicles are ready. The issue of the pandemic you talked about that actually led to the postponement has been addressed. The Federal Ministry of Sports set up a committee last year to come here and assess how ready we are to be able to cope with the issue of coronavirus. They submitted their report. NCDC was also part of the committee, and at the end of the day, they passed us that yes, we have all the facilities to be able to cope with the pandemic, with the outbreak of, with the coronavirus. So, by and large, we are fully ready. Everything is ready.
Let me hang on to you a little bit, Dr. Emmanuel Ibinosa. What is the scope of this march, of this very festival, really? What's the size of it, and how much is Edo really going to take in population of sports, administrators, enthusiasts, athletes, and the rest of them? What's the scope of this festival?
In terms of participants, we are expecting about 9,150 athletes and officials. And they are going to be housed at the University of Benin campuses at Ekehua and Ubowo. And talking about scope too, we are housing athletes and officials from 39 different sports. And because we have all the time in our hands after the postponement to actually look at or cross the T's and dot the I's, we have been able to do everything possible to ensure that all the athletes are taken care of and all the facilities that we have done and that we have built before the postponement have also been maintained to ensure that the standard does not drop.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Igbinosa. We'll return to you shortly in the course of the conversation. Now back to our Abuja studios, Mr. Peter Nelson, Secretary of the Main Organizing Committee of the National Sports Festival. Tell us, is the main committee ready and satisfied with the positioning of the local organizing committee for the big events to begin tomorrow?
Yes, thank you, Nigerians. I'll be highly delighted here to tell you that we visited Edo State severally, and we've checked the facilities on ground. As I speak to you, I must confess that we now have a renovated ultra-modern stadium, the Sam Ogbemudia Stadium today, with all the facilities in it. And if you check, we have an additional court. We have an Olympic-sized swimming pool that we from the national we are boastful of. We have the ultra-modern squash court, that we saw. And in fact, let me tell you, if I keep on counting, you realize that Ondo State have actually put in their best to ensure that their facilities is best as of today in Nigeria, I can tell you. I think if we have the opportunity, I wouldn't mind to recommend that our Olympic athletes preparing for Japan should take their campaign in that end, and then let us see them to test run these facilities that they are likely to meet in Japan. We are really, really, really satisfied with the facilities on ground.
Now, thank you, Dr. Emmanuel. Let me just ask you another question before we proceed to Abdurrahman Ibn Muhammad. When you say Edo State's facility is, almost, or rather state-of-the-art as far as we are concerned, sure, and it can be used for anything and can be test run for any other competition internationally, are you really aware of the fact that the 9,000, sports athletes and officials that are going to come are really a huge number, and these could go through successfully as far as the stadium and the, the organization is concerned?
Yes, thank you. First and foremost, the 9,100 we are talking about are not all participating athletes. We have officials, accompanying officials amongst them. Mm. We also have, what's the name? We also have the athletes there. We have these other facilities that are in various areas in Benin. Like we have some facilities in University of Benin. We have at Itete, where we'll be having the badminton, table tennis, and so on. We have a cricket pitch somewhere at Motan. We have football, not only at the stadium itself, we also have it outside Benin. So they are divided. So not all the participants are not going to be in one place at the same time. They are scattered all over, and haven't considered the fact that NCDC and PTF have been on our neck for close to 9 months now. We have tried as much as possible with them to put all necessary protocol in place, ensuring that we have the hand sanitizer, we have our washing hand basins everywhere. Also, just about 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we wrote a letter to all the states that all athletes coming to Edo, including the accompanying athletes, accompanying officials, should take their vaccine before coming. And quite a lot of them have actually taken their vaccine. Coupled with that, on arrival to Edo, as agreed between the main organizing committee and the local organizing committee, these young participants and the officials will also go through what they call the RDT test before we allow them into the hostel.
What is that?
That is rapid diagnosis test, which will help us to identify whether you have COVID-19 or you have something close to it. By so doing, we have to isolate you so that you don't go inside and affect all other participants. So the things have been put in place. This time around, the NCDC officials, the PTF officials are going to be with us in Edo. In fact, as I speak, they should be on their way to Edo now, because we have to check these people, because tomorrow will be the arrival date, that is 2nd and 3rd. They have to check all of them before they allow all these athletes to get into the hostel.
Okay, but we'll pause you, Mr. Peter Nelson, and then bring in our own Abdurrahman Ibn Muhammad, who is a veteran of many sports festivals in terms of coverage, retired as general manager of NTA Sports. Abdurrahman, another national sports festival, after being postponed from last year, here we are, we're kicking off tomorrow with the formalities of arrival. Are you excited about the sports festival kicking off this time?
Well, Kingsley, thank you very much. Given what I have seen of previous festivals, given what I know took place during the first festival in 1973, 75, 79, when it's held without fail biennially, Lagos, Kaduna, Ibadan, Kwara, Bauchi, and so on and so forth. I'm afraid there is no much excitement, because over the years, we of the media have observed there has been a gradual devaluation of the original aims and objectives of the festival. Let me cite an example. When A few days ago, there was a media report that one of the states from the south, I don't want to mention names, is, pulling out because its foreign-based athletes could not, come into the country to represent the state at a national sports festival in view of the COVID-19 wahala all over the world. And on account of that, one wonders. One of the major, aims and objectives of the festival at inception, under the, under Isaac Akiue's stewardship at that point in time, 1973, was to unearth hidden talents, develop hidden talents, and plan succession of athletes that would represent the country. And of course, engender unity and so on and so forth in the aftermath of the Civil War. Now, those aims and objectives, which are fundamental, in my view, to the festival, have apparently been jettisoned. Now, states bring already established athletes to come and compete. The cadre separation of participants from, under 13s, under 15s, under 18s has been, abolished. It has now become an all-commerce affair. And states don't mind because they just want to get medals. States don't mind. They pry away a leading athlete from another state and give him or her employment just with an eye to go and get a gold medal without working towards development. So the State Sports Council aren't working. The national factory for the production of stars that will represent the country apparently isn't there. So the festival has, to some of us, simply become a jamboree. And I think it goes without saying that, let me give an example. The National Principals Cup, the maiden edition, has just been won by Fosla Academy of Abuja here, which is owned by a former president of the NFF, Alhaji Sani Lulu, has just been concluded. That was initiated by the Honorable Minister for Sports, Mr. Sunday Dare. That's an aberration. The Principals Cup is, ought to be an academic affair. The Nigerian School Sports Federation ought to be the one engineering that. And maybe because the minister came in and found a vacuum, and he can't just sit down and be looking at things. So he had to initiate that. It's out of the blues. Maybe he's also thinking about that, about athletics and some other games. We need to have a reset on how our sports,
Well, Abdurrahman, well, thanks for the point. I would like, Nadabo, I would like Chief Segun Odegbami to also pitch in on this aspect. Chief Odegbami, we popped you up a moment ago on the screen. In your opinion, has the National Sports Festival become a routinized jamboree? And if so, what are the causative factors and how might we reverse the trend?
Thank you very much for having me. And I want to thank all the participants for being honest with their submission so far. I think as Nigerians, there's a need for us all to look inwards and start to change and be very sincere with the things that we do so that we don't do them just for the fun of doing them, but to achieve certain nationalistic goals. The National Sports Festival, of which I was a participant in 1973 and 1975, had very solid objectives and solid goals. And they were achieved. The unity of the young people of Nigeria, integration of the young people of Nigeria, development of sports facilities, particularly in Lagos at the time, and the discovery of young athletes that can represent the country in international events. That's where I was picked up to join the national team of Nigeria in December of 1973 after the festival. So that was achieved, and I wasn't alone. That's where Gloria Anyolaja was discovered, Taiwo Ogunjobi, the athlete, was discovered, and so many others. And subsequent festivals that came after that also achieved a great deal. But the festival that we have today has become something totally different. However, for Edo 2020, we must commend the government of Edo State because they have succeeded in achieving something that is truly great for Edo State itself. The installation of first-class facilities within that state and sports infrastructure that they can now use, if they utilize that well, that place is going to become a hotbed for the discovery of young athletes in that state and even in Nigeria. So they have the basis. But to host the festival, it took some of us to raise the issue of COVID-19 for the festival to be, suspended to start with. We were going to assemble 9,000 people at the peak of a pandemic, when at least we are not even prepared. We live in the States, we know what is going on. You go to certain states, there's no sports development whatsoever. They just hire athletes to participate during the festival, and once it finishes, it is gone. How many new athletes have been discovered? So we need to look inwards again. And in fact, this, because we are talking Edo 2020, we need to look at Edo 2020 dispassionately. I spoke with one of the frontline medical personnel yesterday in Lagos when I went to get my own vaccination. And I said, look, how is the pandemic situation in Nigeria? He says, are you following the news all over the world? Do you hear that there's a fourth surge? You are assembling 9,000 people, whether some are vaccinated or not, but they are going to come into an environment that has thousands of other people, and they're from different parts of the country. No matter what happens, if it should happen, nobody will take responsibility. All of us will suffer it. And we all know clearly that the festivals are not going to throw up any athletes that will take us to the Olympics, which is what so many are drumming up. If it is for development, let's take our time. Let's compensate Edo State for what they have done to prepare and do all of those things. Let us make sure that the health of our young people, our elders, and so on, comes first. Let everybody go back to their states and continue with their sports development. When the environment is right, when the situation is completely right, then we can have the festival. We can go to the Olympics. We know our athletes. We know those that are abroad that are going to represent us. But this rush, for me, this rush is not going to be productive. It's going to be counterproductive. And we are not going to achieve the objectives for which the festival was set up, which we have forgotten. Anyway.
Oh, well, many thanks, Segun Adegami, for your frank and sincere, observations there. Dr. Emmanuel Igbinosa, it's back to you now. Let's hear from you. Frankly speaking, the discussions, the guests, and the conversations here have really poured out their minds about the festival itself. And then some even, let me put it in that order, that there is a rush towards having that one. But nonetheless, that's not going back. April, 4 is just by the corner, and of course, we're getting up to Edo 2020. Dr. Emmanuel, looking at the aims and objectives of this very festival, looking back to 1973 and having reasons for it to be established and inaugurated, and then looking at what is going to happen to this very coming weeks in Edo State, which of course you're part of. What efforts is the government doing there and the local organizing committee in trying to see to it that these aims and objectives are resuscitated and not really further devalued as being postulated by some of our guests here, looking at the number of participants, and you have the 9,000 vis-a-vis the pandemic and the rest of them. How do you intend to go by trying to get this change resuscitated, even if it's going to be at a minimal level?
Thank you very much. Like Chief Odebami has spoken about, like Peter Nelson has spoken about, we know that the objective of the National Sport Festival, like that has been listed, one is, first and foremost, is the unity of Nigeria, integration of the athletes so that all of them have one mind. It was like it has been stated, it was General Gowon that actually started the National Sport Festival, established the National Sport Festival, after the Civil War so that Nigeria can be integrated. The NYSC too was also for that purpose as at that time. But the objective after the unity of Nigeria, one, is facilities development. And if you come to Edo today, if you have been there before and know what is there, and now you now come to see what is there, you will know that yes, that aim of facilities development has been achieved. Number two, the integration that has been spoken about, the issue of having a games village where everybody will stay together, where everybody will eat together, so that they can know each other and become one Nigeria is being promoted. Then the discovery of talent, yes, it is the state that we produce the athletes that will come to the National Sport Festival. The National Sport Festival does not produce athletes, but athletes produced in the state can come for the festival and they can be identified, and then thereafter the federations and the National Federal Ministry of Sports can develop them further. The only thing that is actually going to be missing in Edo is the spectatorship. It's not going to be there. The microeconomy part of it will not also be there because people are not allowed to come to the stadium, but they can watch on TV. So the three objectives of the festival have been met, and I think we cannot continue to wait for eternity. We do not know when COVID-19 is going to end. It's like it has come to be part of our life. So we must move on. Even Tokyo is still going to hold this year. Even it was postponed last year, and it's still going to hold. Events have been holding in other places in the world. The Premiership has come back. So if we say we are going to wait, we might wait eternally and the game may not hold again.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Igbinosa. But Abdulrahman Ibn Mohammed, I want to bring you in again to comment on some of the issues that are already on the table. And just to emphasize, I was delighted when Chief Shegun Degbami was recalling his own participation in the Sports Festival of 1973. As you said, 73 was a very significant year for us in Nigeria. Early that year, we had the All Africa Games in Lagos. Then we had, of course, the National Sports Festival, and then the NYSC started that same year. And in terms of sports development and talent grooming, Samuel Ogbemudia, who was then a colonel and military governor of the old Midwest, established New Era College in Benin City, where some of these athletes who had participated in the National Sports Festival became the freshmen who were in that school. Amongst them, Nduka Odizo. I'm sure we all know Nduka Odizo, a great tennis player, one of the most achieving tennis players in Nigeria. Friday Otabo, Friday Ohunwu, and several others. There were a number of other footballers who were also in that particular.
And co.
Absolutely, they were all there. So, but back again to the issues in terms of the integrative function of the National Sports Festival, which you were talking about. And now the absence of even crowds at the venues of the events. And you know the kind of energy that crowds can generate for athletes. What is this likely to mean in terms of the overall atmospherics of the sports festival?
Well, psychologists would tell you that the size of the crowd, you know, if you've been a performing artist or a performing sportsman, you know that the adrenaline, you know, flows quicker and faster when you are being urged by a crowd. So that could, you know, impact on the athletes. So we might not see the proper zeal and so on and so forth. And I'm talking from experience. And like I said, psychologists will tell you that. But away from that, I do not think the main organizing committee or the local organizing committee could be faulted for this, because the PTF and the NCDC have been on their necks, like we have heard from Dr. Igbinosa and Mr. Nelson here. It is a way of managing the prevalent situation. And even in foreign lands, more advanced lands, we see, like Dr. Igbinosa has pointed out, in the Premiership, they are taking it gradually, you know, bit by bit, to get fans back in. And even in the just concluded series of matches for the qualification for the AFCON 2022, should have been AFCON 2021, but in which Nigeria, the Super Eagles, edged out Lesotho to top their group and qualify for the event which comes up next year in France. The Confederation of African Football stipulated that only about 30% of this stadium would be, allowed to be filled by spectators. So this is, sports authorities in the world, I think, are taking it gradually. They are taking it gradually to allow spectatorship back. But of course, Mr. Nelson and Dr. Ibinosa and their committees don't want to take chances, especially given the state of our basic health facilities. We are not as advanced as other countries. Our health facilities are really not where they should be. So I think they have been cautious in not allowing spectators coming. That may affect the athletes' performance. Be that as it may, Dr. Ibinosa spoke about spectators only having to catch a glimpse of the action on TV. And this is where I like to make this comment. The Nigerian Television Authority has been discussing with the main organizing committee under the leadership of His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Edo State. And we have come to an understanding that the opening and closing ceremonies will be covered live by the NTA. And we are also discussing how to do packages that will be put on air for spectators to, have a glimpse of exactly what happened here and there. We're still working out the details, but the Deputy Governor and our chiefs at NTA are working out. And we do hope that before the day of the opening ceremony on the 6th, the Deputy Governor and his team and our own chiefs will come up with an agreement. And then, of course, once that is done, we will, of course, let the public know that on such a time, we'll put a schedule, a package on the Edo 2020, Edo 2021 now, will be on air on the NTA. We are partnering, as the Deputy Governor has stated.
Okay, many thanks, Abdulrahman. Let me get to Mr. Nelson here. You heard what Abdulrahman said, and of course talking about the spectatorship and how the NTA is trying to really put in its own effort in trying to make Nigerians watch this very festival and be part of it generally. In trying to organize Edo 2020, you've really looked at that, I suppose, and you've really understood the fact that the spectatorship thing is going to be almost zero because of the pandemic. And I don't know, what other, methods or approaches have you adopted in trying to get this very festival appreciated by Nigerians without necessarily being in the stadia and some other game venues?
Thank you very much for that question. There's an issue I first and foremost want to clarify before I quickly answer that question. Reference to what Chief Odegbami said concerning the festival is likely to be a jamboree because the youths that are meant to be discovered based on the objective of the National Sport Festival is no longer to be there. I too participated at the third edition of the National Sport Festival, that is 77. And when we did this thing, we had intermediate and senior. Up till 1981 at the National Sport Festival, where it stopped. Opportunities were given to the young athletes, where they were being discovered, and also here, the senior athletes. As it went by, we realized that we had lesser sponsorship drive, as at that time, and the athletes kept increasing, the sports kept increasing. So what we did was to now give out federations the responsibilities to develop the youth athletes. Because no matter how you want to look at it, this is an industry where we have been working. The sport festival, just for one, which is a biannual thing, cannot discover a young athlete. We now ask the federations to take full responsibilities of handling age group competitions. That is why these days you hear under 15 table tennis championship, under 18 table tennis championship, under 20, like it goes on in football and all whatnot. So if that responsibility is given to them, I think that we should focus seriously on the unification, development of facilities and the interaction of the youth. And I think it's not far away from what we are trying to achieve now. So we shouldn't look at it as if it's a jamboree in totality. It is not. We are achieving things. At least now, if you go back to Edo State, you'll be shocked at the facilities you see on ground.
Why will you be shocked?
I'll be shocked because of the transformation, because of the want to host. If not for the hosting, I don't think the state government will go as far as that to put in all that money to get that facilities there.
Oh, okay,
So,
while you're on this, let me bring in Dr. Emmanuel Igbonosa.
Don't forget, my question has not been answered.
I will
anyway.
answer.
You answer the question.
All right.
While it's on this, Dr. Emmanuel Igbonosa, you want to respond to this claim by Mr. Peter Nelson that perhaps in the absence of hosting, then we might not have seen the vast improvement in facilities in Edo right now?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that the festival actually fast-tracked the development of those facilities. In fact, the Samuel Ugbemundia Stadium is remodeled, not renovated, remodeled. What was there before was pulled down and something else put in place. And if you also look at Edo State, the deputy governor is a sportsman to the core. He plays football even up till now. As at last year, he registered with Bender Insurance. And he also played golf seriously. So he, being in position as a deputy governor, actually want all those things being in place. And he said he wants Edo to go back to the Ogbemudia era and even surpass it. So the facilities would have come up, but not at the rate and pace that they were developed. But it would have been gradual. But the festival actually was a catalyst that make it to come very, very fast within 2 years.
Yeah, thank you very much. We did those, these festivals there in order to get things up and down. Back to my question.
thank you very much. Can I quickly answer your question? Now, the main organizing committee established various subcommittees. And under these various subcommittees, we have what we call publicity and media subcommittee. Now, the publicity committee have been interfacing with all other media houses, and they have been communicating. Even the media men, I spoke to quite a number of them yesterday, including the chairman of the publicity subcommittee. And also, there is this normal Zoom meeting we have with the local organizing committee, where they to try as much as possible to interact with each other, communicate the plans over there, and also to collaborate with what they are doing here. And they have considered all these things, put all these things into consideration. We have treated issues, we have given them funds for them to go ahead to help to publicize this issue. And I think even Edo State himself, in collaboration with our own media committee, are working in earnest to ensure that these objectives are achieved. So they have their plans. The publicity committee are working with Edo State Publicity Committee for them to achieve this purpose, and I think they are doing a good job.
No, I just asked that question because you're the secretary organizing committee of this very festival. Yes. And the Nigerians really want to cash on this program, as they always do, in order to get some information, especially about upcoming events like the festival. Well, how would I watch? What would I do? At what time would I do this? And the rest of them, using this information, maybe they will be able to be part of this, festival.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you, that these committees are working in earnest to ensure, since both of them are working together as a team. This is not just Edo and this main organizing committee. Both of them have come together because there is this fortnight Zoom meeting we have, and in some situations they go to Edo to interact, to know what to do and to ensure that this sports is highly publicized. Other than that, the DG, that is the Deputy Governor of Edo State, had assured us that most of the sports are going to be carried live. Like Abdul Rahman just told us here, he said they are in contact with the DG, who wants to ensure that the opening and closing ceremony will be live. So also some other sports of great interest, of course, you know that it will be of great interest, will be carried live. And we are sure that they are going to meet up because they say this festival, Edo State 2020, will be festival never to be forgotten.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Nelson. Let's return to Chief Segun Odegbami, who is with us via Zoom. Chief Odegbami, the point has been made, I hope I heard him correctly, that the sports festival shouldn't be an opportunity or an occasion for the discovery of talents. I mean, some persons would wonder what the essence of such a fiesta would be if it isn't an occasion for you to discover talents for further grooming. And by the way, I'm sure Nigerians would need to be reminded that you took personal responsibility in furthering the career of Chioma Ajunwa, the long jumper who is the first Nigerian to have won an individual Olympic gold medal. That took place in Atlanta in 1996. So if the National Sports Festival, as has been claimed, isn't a ground for discovery of talents, how then do we transition from the fiesta to elite competitions?
Well, look at the name of the ministry in charge of the National Sports Festival. It is the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. You see, the ministry itself, its primary function is to develop sports in the country. And when you look at the content of what it is supposed to do, whereas the states will develop the athletes, the ministry is supposed to assemble the best of those athletes, convert them into an elite group, and those ones will represent the country in different sports. So the ministry itself is the clearinghouse of all athletes in Nigeria. And they, in their wisdom, put together the National Sports Festival so that, as Doctor said, the best from all the states are assembled so that the best in the country are discovered. And the best there would now be put together in a camp, in different camps in the National Sports Commission or the Ministry of Sports, and they will continue to be trained. Some will go to school, some will remain as athletes, and so on and so forth. That's how it was. That is the production line of it in those days. But unfortunately, with the high turnover of personnel, the dilution of the vision, it became something else. But having said that, let me just say that these festivals will go on because there's so much pressure that it should go on from everybody. You know, the athletes are ready, the officials are ready, and we all agree. And Edo is ready, completely ready. They have benefited already from the infrastructure that is going to happen. My only concern, and again, let me add this, even NTA would have an excellent opportunity for them to put together a crew and facilities that will be able to cover a festival. A festival is not a football match. And in answer to what Doctor said, this is not EPL match. This is not the NBA of basketball. This is a festival that involves 39 different sports and 9,000 athletes. So it is different. So that's where the concern comes from. But because it is going to go on, I hope that the discipline that we are hoping that Nigerians would have to maintain all the protocols, the athletes to maintain the protocols, officials to maintain the protocols, the crowd in Benin to stay away from the facilities so that those protocols are maintained. And at the end, we do not have a spike that will now become a major national problem for us, because there's nowhere in the world where a festival of sports has been going on in the past 1 year. Go and check it out. There's nowhere. The Olympics are still in doubt up to today. And what Japan are putting in place to host the Olympics are still being scrutinized from day to day. If you go through it, it is humongous. Not to talk of Nigeria, where we know our level of discipline. That is just my worry. Everything else can be done. Yes, we can have the festival. It may not be a jamboree. Those states will benefit tremendously. That's fine. NTA will benefit tremendously. The Benin City will not be the same anymore. The University of Benin will benefit. Everybody will benefit. But the health aspect, because our people are dying. 4 of my cousins died in the past 1 month from this COVID. It is real. The vaccination is going on. We know all of that. But, well, that's my own, Sha. It is just for the health purposes. That's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Shegun, the mathematical Shegun, how this person is concerned. Abdurrahman Ibn Muhammad, I don't know whether you share the same concern.
Well, this is the concern expressed by my senior brother, Shegun Odegbami. It's genuine. The facts are there. Like he stated, even in Japan, for the Olympics, that is, there is no sports meet that is bigger than the Olympics in the whole of the world. And we know the level at which they are, and we know the level at which we are. Still, steps are being taken, clarifications are being sought, and wisdom is being sought, solutions are being thought of. How do we do this? In fact, Japan has declared that there will be no foreign visitors, foreign spectators. The same way that there will be no spectators at the National Sports Festival, the same way there will be no spectators at the Olympics. So they are also being careful. We are also being careful. But the major worry expressed by Shegun is our level of discipline and our level of development. Will our level of discipline, rise, so to speak, so that we respect that spectators, please don't go near these facilities. Allow the sportsmen and women and the officials who will also observe the due protocol. If we are able to do that, we should be able to, come off fine with it. After all, like I said, in certain areas of the world, spectators are being allowed back into the stadia. While Africa was conducting its qualification matches for AFCON 2022, in Europe, qualifying matches were being played for the World Cup because this was a FIFA window. And in some stadia, people who have been, certified without any COVID, they have taken the due test, they have been certified, were put in an enclosure, within the stadium, and they were put in a place because the authorities were sure they had been tested and certified. They maintained the discipline. Are we going to be able to maintain the discipline? That is a huge task for the MOC and the LOC to deal with. If we enforce that discipline, I believe we should be able to pull it off.
Yeah, all right. Abdurrahman Ibn Muhammad, thank you very much. We would like to thank 2 of our guests who have been with us in the course of this conversation. Peter Nelson, who's a director in the Federal Ministry of Sports and our secretary of the main organizing committee of the Edo 2020 National Sports Festival, taking off tomorrow with the arrival of the athletes and officials. Mr. Nelson, thanks a lot for being with us, and good morning, Nigeria.
You're welcome, sir.
You didn't tell us the sport you participated in 1977.
Oh, well, if you really want me to.
Yeah, go ahead,
my name is Peter Nelson. I played basketball. I was a captain, a national captain from 1979 to 82. I captained Akim Olajuwon, where he was discovered in Angola, where we won bronze medal. And I played basketball until 1990, even while I picked up this job. And,
all right. Congratulations.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much. Thank you.
And Dr. Emmanuel Igbinosa, Secretary of the Local Organizing Committee of Edo 2020 from our Benin Network Center, I would like to thank you. We know that Edo already has experience with hosting the sports festival, by the way. This is the 3rd time that Edo is hosted a festival. In 1981, when Ambrosale was governor of Bender State, the state hosted the festival. In 2002, when Lucky Igbenedion was governor of Edo State, the state also hosted the festival. And now Godwin Obaseki is hosting the festival. In 2020, of course, pushed on to 2021. Best of luck to you and the rest of the officials. Live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We're taking a short break now. When we return, of course, we'll continue to discuss sports with Chief Shegun Odegbami being with us and Abdurrahman Ibn Muhammad also here with us in the studios and other guests joining us, this time specific to soccer.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
My name is Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the Minister of Information and Culture. I just received my first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and I'm glad I did so. This vaccine has been proven to be safe and efficacious. And as long as we take this vaccine and we continue to obey the COVID-19 protocols, such as frequent washing of hands, use of sanitizer, wearing of masks in public places, keeping social distancing, avoiding gatherings, we are sure going to beat COVID-19.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher ló mọ̀, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher ló mọ̀, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for Las Gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
It's called Oja Village. Kadesi, we no happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. We are trying, Shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And we will, for our second leg of the conversation, check on football administration, which is still a sport business, a very big one for that matter. Let's welcome our guests, joining our earlier guest, still in the studio. We shall really welcome Amaju Pinnick, the NFF president and member of FIFA Council, who is joining us from Lagos via Zoom. Welcome, Amaju Pinnick.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. And already our guests are here that we've been talking with, Shegun Adegbami and, of course, Abrahama Ebi Mohammed. The two guests are already with us. Welcome them once again. It's still going to be a continued discussion on sports, this time around, talking about football administration. Kingsley?
All right, but gentlemen, a pleasure to have you with us on this related subject matter, which is on soccer and soccer administration in Nigeria. Congratulations, Amaju Pinnick, on your election to the FIFA Council. Of course, you've joined the elite group of Nigerians who have occupied that seat. It's been said that this is a new dawn, as it were. Now, what are your own plans, or what is your vision, as it were, for uplifting Nigerian soccer and quality of football development generally? We don't want to start talking about crisis in the meantime, but just what should Nigerians expect? Is this a new dawn or business as usual?
No, our focus been, our vision has been clear to improve the culture of football, sustainability in the country, and because we believe Nigeria is a very proud footballing nation, and our focus is clear, whether there's crisis or there's no crisis, what you try to do. Yeah, crisis impedes one or two things, but our focus is clear. And what's our focus? One, global recognition, and we have it right now. Two, self-funding, which we are growing at the moment to about 60%. In a few months, we'll be signing 2-3 contracts that will take us to about 63 to 65% of self-funding. Then three, a comprehensive youth development program, which we are doing with our sponsors. It used to be called the Zenith Bank Next Eagles Challenge, but now we might be unveiling a new sponsor in the next few weeks, to take that program higher. Because if you look at what we have done without our youth development program, which is called the Next Eagles Challenge, at least most of our players went through the ranks, and they are in the under-17. The last under-17 that went to Tanzania and did very well. And the last one that went for the last tournament, at least 60-70% of them came from the ranks of our youth development program. So we just need to make it a lot better than it is now. And that's a discussion with our new sponsor before we tidy up other correspondences regarding the sponsorship and partnership. But our vision is clear. It's very difficult to work in this terrain, that I can tell you, because everybody's a coach, everybody's an administrator, but the executive committee and the Congress have given us a mandate to say, this is what we want. Your vision, how do we amplify it? And we are working in that direction. I don't think there are things that are fundamentally wrong.
Amaju Penek, let me just ask you this and see what response you would give us. You mentioned 60% of funding have been achieved so far, and all over the world, football today is a private business, and that's why it thrives. Public, organizations and the rest of them joining in trying to fund this. Even individuals that make it, most of them are. 60%, do you think that one is enough to take us through to the next level? Talking about football, now you're moving ahead to a better, higher pedestal in football administration. And that's why you're going to make the whole thing really taking place, 60%.
What we should do in NTA is to disseminate information that will reduce to the barest minimum any form of bickering, any form of crisis, because as of 2018, we were 65% self-funded. As of 2018, it's not just saying it. Check our audited report as captured or prepared by PwC, not just any form of audit company, PwC. It's there. Even our last audit report, which was published in the Daily Trust, Leadership, and other newspapers, it's clear what you see regarding what comes in from the outside. But the truth is, under a very, very conducive atmosphere, under a very, very, I use the word very conducive, enabling atmosphere, there's no way. My dream has always been to achieve 100% self-funding. And there are things that you cannot come out to say in public. There's the word, the modicum called information order. Otherwise, you are going to rock so many boats. So we decided to say, okay, let us go ahead. The federal government, to the large extent, they've done what they can do. We know there are a lot of challenges in the country. So that's why I've decided. Our prayer to them is that they should create the enabling environment for us to have partnership, to have sponsorship. While I was in Delta, as even the chairman of Delta State Football Association, I was there for 9 years. Go and find out. Not a dime did Amaju Penek led Delta Football Association collected from the government. We appealed to the government from the beginning, even the former chairman that I took over from Dero too, that listen, give us the enabling environment. And they gave us the enabling environment. There was no internal or what I call intra class clashes. There was nothing like that within or outside. We had the enabling environment. We went to get sponsorship. All our programs, the then Oceanic Bank was sponsoring our FA Cup. Zenith Bank was sponsoring some of our events. Various companies were sponsoring most of our events. And that's how we thrived, because we had 100%. And the good news was that We had the sole administrator, then Chief Solomon Ogba, who gave us everything we wanted. You know, people went to him, say all sorts of things to him, but he never listened. He gave us every support we needed at that point. And that's how we demonstrated that. You know, because at that point, when I got into football administration 100% in 1999, after 1999, I didn't just jump. I went for lots and loads of training, the football, all the edition in South of France, and emphasis was on marketing, partnership, the BDS sponsorship conference, the BDS forum in the IOD, Institute of Directors in London, the Montreal. I attended all these conferences. And my focus is, we can do this without funding because football is business. But under which atmosphere are you going to partner company? That's the question. It's rather a rhetorical question. But the truth is, we need an enabling environment. Once we have an enabling environment, trust me, it's not going to be difficult for us to attain 100% self-funding and depend very, very less on government for our funding. But please, that's the elemental word, enabling environment.
Well, Amaju Pinnick, thank you very much. You've stressed on enabling environment. Incidentally, on Monday on Good Morning Nigeria, we had the Honorable Minister of Information talk about certain aspects of the revised broadcasting code that would require local sponsors of advertising produced outside the country to pay some surcharge in order to also facilitate local content development and sponsorship and so on and so forth. I wouldn't know whether that's part of the enabling environment that you're talking about, but otherwise, what are the factors in the enabling environment that you would like to see play out on the national scene?
Yeah, for example, we give kudos to the Honorable Minister for Information. From the beginning, he has always been interfacing with us and ensuring that what is going on in all our clients should also come down to Nigeria, you know. And he's been excellently warm in that regard. And that is part of the enabling environment. That I can tell you, that's an integral part of it. Once you have that kind of support from a government agency, you know, is a kind of support. So that's basically, so kudos to him. Then regarding to your other question, I don't know if I get it again, if you can repeat it.
The other factors that you would like to see to create the enabling environment that will enable you and your team succeed?
Yeah, definitely what we need basically is, there are a lot of things going on that, like I said, you cannot come out to say in public. A lot of issues that to us, they are business that should not be brought to the fore. We have gone through a lot and we are determined. I have barely 18 months to stay as NFL president. And I want to live at least with an appreciable level of financial independence for the Nigerian Football Federation. Okay. So, like I said, there are a lot of things that are better left unsaid. But the enabling environment, you know what that means? Give us that enabling environment. It is clear as crystal. Then you will see what we'll do. Why do you think we take matches to these various states? It's not because we cannot domicile our games in one state, but because we also create partnerships that will enable us win games, you know, take some of our funding off government. Is part of it as well. And if you look at the states, they've been amazing, from Delta to Edo to Akwa Ibom, and now Lagos. So these are the kind of things I'm talking about that enables that enabling, in quote, environment.
Many thanks, Amaju Pinnick. Abdurrahman Muhammad, let's look at other aspects now of this football administration, of course, footballing in this country. It's all about catching them young. When we look at the history of football and why we became a footballing nation all over the world, is because of our exploits in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and the 90s, of course, and of course into the 2000s, where the fortune begins to, you know, go down a little. Catching them young is just the key. And football academies have been playing a very important role in that. I don't know, how strong are these academies in this country? And what needs to be done in order to get those ones, you know, active, and then revert or regain the lost glory of our players as we used to have in the past?
Well, Yusuf, just before I head to this question of what role for grassroots development? I'd like to respond to what I think I heard the NFF president say. The NTA should be engaged in, not reporting bickerings and so on and so forth, because that is one of the enabling environments that the football administration at the national level needs to go on. I quite agree with him that yes, that enabling environment, that sort of enabling environment is needed. But I want to assure that over time, NTA has, been mindful of what we report. A lot of things, negative things are found in the media against the NFF, which is one of the things actually that is holding them back. Partners and sponsors, are easily put off by some of those things. He's been very diplomatic and, saying there are some things that cannot be said. Yeah, really some things cannot be said. But they, either because of the successes they are achieving or for some other reason, have so many opponents. I've seen, papers and issues that tend to bring them down. They will be making progress in a certain way, and then a group of people. Take, for instance, when the federal government announced its endorsement of its candidacy for the FIFA Council, surprisingly, from within Nigeria, some people went to court trying to stop that. Gladly, that didn't work because the federal government was, in tandem with the, mission of the NFF to put Nigeria at the global summit of football administration. It is for Nigeria, not for Amaju or any member of the NFF. When the late Oyo was there, it was for national glory. Amos Ademu was there, was for national glory. But why is it that it is during Amaju's time that some people want to, the kind of pull him down syndrome? So that's the kind of thing. But I assure you that NTA doesn't engage in that. We see a lot of those things, but we never do anything without due confirmation. Now, to your point of grassroots sports development academies and so on and so forth, the easiest way that the academies can help is to try to feed the clubs of the Nigerian Premier League, because it has been said that your national teams are as strong as your local league. A lot of pressure was put on Gennard Rowe, Amaju and Co. for locally based players to be infused into Gennard Rowe's team, the last team that played. And gladly, I think at least one of them got into the pitch of play and displayed the stuff that he is made of. But Nigerians would like to see more. The likes of Chief Shegun Adegbami, Adoke, Amesimaka, Chairman Christian Chuku didn't go out of the shores of this country, not because they were not unable to. They were some of the best in Africa and indeed the world. They stayed in, and at that point in time, our club football was very, very strong, and therefore our national team was very strong. So the academies now, instead of being peopled by people who, they want to run before they can, crawl. The academies, people are looking at how do I get one or two players that I will export instead of developing the players to feed the local. You see, when they are not properly developed, when they go out, you find them signing contracts they don't understand what it's all about in lesser known footballing playing nations where Nigeria has a higher pedigree. And so the objective is not met. But when they are strongly, balanced at home, they show the kind of stuff they are made of, foreign clubs will come and look at them based on their own stature. But when they run because they have the potential that has not been fully developed, you go out, you are competing at a disadvantage. So there should be a reset of the minds of the owners and initiators of football academies. Develop the local football clubs, the National Football League clubs, before eyeing players that you can sell in Europe and make money. Yes, you want to make money. Nobody will see an opportunity to make money and he or she doesn't take it. But, take it a step at a time.
All right, Abdurrahman, thank you very much. Let's return to Chief Shegun Adegbami, who is still with us via Zoom. Chief Shegun Adegbami, have you listened to the other two guests? What would be your aid memoir to Amaju Pinnick, NFF president and recently elected member of FIFA Council, with regard to growing soccer in Nigeria and having better administration and therefore more pleasant outcomes?
Well, I apologize that unstable Wi-Fi, I haven't been following very well, but I thought I heard what you said last. Let me just use this opportunity to congratulate Amaju Pinnick for his achievement to be on the Council of FIFA. He's one of 3 persons in our entire history to have achieved that feat. So we must congratulate him and we must support him. And secondly, to say that, well, we share in his vision and ambition for an NFF that will be truly independent of the federal government in terms of Super Eagles and all our national teams, supreme. But I think that, when Amaju Pinnick leaves office, he was prepared for this. He went to different courses and so on and so forth. He is driving this dream with everything that he has. And he believes that football can survive without the federal government. The moment he leaves, it behoves on another Nigerian who may not be as equipped as he is. 9 years in Delta State as administrator is enough foundation for you to have that kind of lofty ambition. Because now I think that the NFF is taking on too much responsibility to fund all the national teams through our private sector initiatives. I think it's one mission impossible. And that the primary responsibility for the national teams of Nigeria, from where we were coming from, is that of government. And that any support, that anything that the NFF will get, which will be substantial, would be to take some of the burden of the federal government, not to take over the responsibility. That is the only aspect of it that I do not share, because in 18 months, he will be gone and somebody else will come and inherit a system that says government funding is not required. And we know that at the level of development of our economy and industries, we cannot become America overnight. So that is the tall call for me. Otherwise, I want to congratulate him. And I know that Nigerian football has just made a big turnaround with the successes that we achieved in Benin and in.
It seems to have a problem with the connection there.
Yeah, that's
he
he said that
point
poor
there. Anyway.
Wi-Fi connection.
Yes.
So.
Abdurrahman, we're almost at the end of this program, but let's still talk about the local league in this country. It's all about investment. Football is a big business, big time business really all over the world. And the local league in Nigeria seem not to be getting the required investment and attention from organizations and individuals in order to make it so strong and compete as much as it can, to really get good players from wherever, and of course, be at par with its peers all over the world. What do you think needs to be done about this, and how do we make it very attractive?
What needs to be done about the local league to, attract sponsorship and adequate support? I think part of it is being done, and part of it is being done by NTA. You need to put the Nigerian Professional League on TV. And over the years, NTA has partnered with an agency of the NFF, that is a league management company under Shehu Diko. NTA has been, airing, the matches, has been providing the backbone to the airing of the matches of the Nigerian Professional League. NTA has been shouldering this burden. Because there is a vision that we are sharing. Kingsley spoke about the Minister of Information, to whom we remain very, very grateful, in trying to streamline the National Broadcasting Code to ensure that companies that put their advert businesses outside, do, some bit of thing, internally to help. And while we wait for the actualization of that, which is being pursued, we at NTA have been putting money where our mouth is. The sponsorship is, we hope, going to be coming in sooner than later. We know the LMC is negotiating with prospective sponsors, and we know that, perhaps the NFF president has spoken, things are going to happen in the very near future, and we're hopeful of that. And that is why, because the Director General shares that vision along with the executive management of NTA, that is why NTA is in this. What we are doing, NTA is not being paid a kobo for its airing of the Nigerian league matches. We give our time, our OB van, our engineers, we pay for the satellite, and this is, we're hoping, will help, catapult Nigerian football to a level where, not only will our players be seen, our fully developed players be seen and become attractive to foreign clubs, and also enhance their pay, but also the league itself will become very strong, so that our national team, in turn, will become stronger.
Abdulrahman, thank you very much. Mr. Michael Pinnick, would like to pop this barrel of questions to you now, so that you respond to them very briefly. At some point, the sentiment was very strong that our national teams should be coached by indigenous Nigerian coaches. We have seen a reversal of that trend. The senior national team, the female team, and the commonest complaint always had been that local Nigerian coaches who were engaged were shabbily treated. And some of them, you've talked about the number of programs that you attended to prepare yourself for your current position, but there seemed to have been very little or no training or further exposure to indigenous Nigerian coaches, and yet we expected them to perform wonders. Why are we having a reversal of the heartwarming trend that we saw in the past of Nigerians being in charge of the Nigerian bench in the dugout?
Well, a lot of things that you don't just throw away. Our coaches, they are quite competent, but there are a lot of factors, even though in ambiguity, that makes them not to perform the way they ought to perform, or to their optimum. I'm not going to say factors because I've seen a lot of things. I have, and for us to achieve what we set out to achieve, we have decided at this moment for our main national teams, we need foreign coaches, and it is clear as crystal. Look at the female national team. Look at the male national team. Look at the consistency. If you look at all AFCON qualifiers, he has not lost any this particular time. We've been cruising. The only itch we had was the Cameroon game, the Sierra Leone game, both games. But like I told you, post-match interview, that we're going to correct some of those errors. And if you can see that there's a huge improvement, look at the energy level from the boys from the beginning to the end. So it's not just the coach, it's about the backroom staffing, So, but without anything against, I can tell you, I have a beautiful, wonderful relationship with my coaches. And Yobo, to me, like I told him even 2 days ago, he has submitted his program. We are sending him on an internship. It's going to be on an attachment to some of the big clubs, then do a formal training. We're going to prepare him for the future, because he has the same leadership qualities that Stevie Keshi. And I've worked with him for some time now, and I know that he is very, very capable. I don't have any regrets about it. That's why I say things, I'm not going to start telling you, no, we are preparing Yobo for the future because Gennaro is not going to be here forever. And that is the truth. And like I said, I don't have any regrets about it. But he needs to understand some of the dynamics, some of the theatrics, some of the importance, some of the salience of being the head coach. So he's going through that training. When he gets in, another person, maybe another under tenure, will follow suit. It is something very delicate. It's something we need to prepare, We need to take our time to prepare. It's not saying it can take 5 years. It can take a lot more. The other coaches, like there's the coach, the guy that is a coach.
Oh, thank you so much, Amaju Pinnick, NFF President and member of FIFA Council. We thank you so much for being part of this program this morning. A very big thank you also goes to Chief Olusegun, rather Segun Adugbami, that is the mathematical Segun. I will never forget that goal kick you took that went straight into the net, and I think that was where the mathematics came in. Thank you so much for the, for the participation this morning. Abdulmaibu Mohammed, it's our pleasure. You've been part of us this morning. Thank you so much. And a very big thank you to you out there for being part of Good Morning Nigeria this morning. My name is Yusuf Narabusun. Join us tomorrow from the package.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. Do have a nice day.